is Ye-Lin Jung. I graduated from Yonsei GSIS back in 2015 as with PIC degree, and I am very pleased to have you all tonight. It's a little bit regretful that we cannot have a face-to-face meeting, but still, I'm very happy to have you all. And I am also happy to share my humble experiences in the international development field. Okay, let's get started. Okay, brief introduction. Who am I? As I mentioned, my name is Ye-Lin, and I approximately have 5-year career with experiences of international development and cooperation. And I have various experiences in the UN system, multilateral development bank, OECD, and mostly public sectors. And to describe myself a little bit, I'm a very open-minded person. I have very positive attitude, and I'm multilingual. Of course, I'm very cooperative, and I love to take some adventures. Then, what kind of experiences made of myself now? And to provide more details of my experiences, I will present my current position and task at Unicef Korea, and then rewind back to my years of Yonsei GSIS, and then we'll tell you other careers after Yonsei GSIS. Yes, I am currently working as program specialist, specifically for Child-Friendly City Initiative Officer at Advocacy and Public Policy Division at Unicef Korea. To briefly introduce my program, CFCI, this is a platform to strengthen local governments capacities to implement UNCRC effectively. UNCRC stands for UN Convention for the Rights of the Child, and basically, we provide policy consultation and good governance components to the local governments to make them as very robust governance system. And to extend this, I also provide advice and consultation for child policy impact measurement to the government. I'm currently really closely working with the Ministry of Health and Welfare. And my second task at the Unicef Korea is that I'm the South Korean focal point of Unicef Research Center. We call it Innocenti. My main task is that I co-conceptualize the very meaningful report for every child, specifically in HICS. HICS means the high-income countries. You can check out the very current report. It just released. You can check this out through the UNICEF website. And I also cooperate with Korean government, specifically Korea statistics, to obtain key data for Korean children. And from time to time, I monitor and report SDG indicator and data relevant to Korean children to the headquarters of UNICEF. And of course, my last task is I do everything about for every child. And specifically, I contrive lots of strategies to respond to urgent matters. Specifically this year, I was dying to work with the COVID-19, but it was very worth it. And also, I do everything about for every child. Also, I would like to lightly touch up on what my current division do. We also do child-friendly justice, children's, and we also do children's right and business initiative. And also, we have BFHI and MFW initiative to make better words specifically for children and women. So this is what I'm doing around these days, and I would like to rewind my time back to Yonsei GSIS period. So, okay, before I go to the Yonsei period, I would like to share some snapshots from UNICEF Korea. I interviewed Executive Director of UNICEF, Henrietta Poor. She officially visited South Korea last year, and I interviewed her. I conducted an interview, and it released at Yonhap News. And also, I designed and implemented UNCRC Summit to celebrate 30th anniversary of UNCRC. Okay, let's run back to the Yonsei GSIS period. Well, I would like to divide into two parts of my Yonsei GSIS life. First, inside of GSIS, well, like Yonsei GSIS basically helped me maintaining a sense of global settings. As I can see, and as you can see, Yonsei provide really desirable conditions to maintain a sense of global settings. And also, I highly recommend you to take this opportunity, exchanging credits with partner universities and expand your network. This network is very valuable to me also around these days because well, many like universities has their own strength and you should take it and you should expand your network, and then you can build up the network and you can use it when you do the real job. So I really highly recommend to that, and I also underscore this as the strength of Yonsei GSIS. And the second part, outside of Yonsei GSIS, I would like to share 2 points that I think it was quite valuable. The first one is I was selected as an official delegation of G20 Youth Summit in 2014. So I went to Australia and I mainly worked on Y20 communique with other G20 country youth delegation. Specifically, I worked on social policies based on SDG, and I put my whole efforts to include that part in the communique and successfully reflected on the communique. And some part of the Y20 communique was reflected in the very final G20 communique. So I think it's quite valuable memories to work with international settings and people. And the second part is that I did my internship at Unicef Tokyo, which is non-year headquarters in Public Partnership Division back in 2014 and early year of 2015. I mainly made some policy notes for my supervisor by analyzing Korean Korean government strategy and ODA data and Oecd doc report. And then I also run some meaningful projects in between Oecd and UNICEF, and I also assisted my supervisor to conduct forum at the Korean National Assemblies. So based on these experiences, I firmly confirm that I am very into working in the global settings. Plus, I'm very into the public policy and promoting good governance, specifically focusing on resources and ODA or funding mobilization. So I would like to share some snapshots from Sydney back in 2014. And this is the photo from the Korean National Assembly. We conducted a seminar to build capacities for the Congress people. Then after the Yonsei grade, after my experiences Yonsei GSIS, what did I do? So first, after my graduation, I got an job opportunity at the Export and Import Bank of Korea as a project officer. Specifically, I was dealing with EDCF, as sort of the ODA from the Ministry of Finance and Economy. And I conducted a KSB program, KSB program on behalf of Ministry of Finance and Economy. And basically, this project is conducting policy consultation with multilateral development banks such as World Bank, ADB, IDB, ICT, and I mainly worked with African countries or Latin American countries and other Asian countries such as Bangladesh, Vietnam, and also plus I conducted a survey demand on behalf of the Ministry of Finance. I went to the African countries I literally just roaming around the African countries to check their demand. And then I made a report for the Ministry of Finance, and then so that they can make a decision whether how much ODA and which kind of program will be assigned for the African countries. So I thought that it was very meaningful as well. And through these experiences, I got 6 publications under my name, mostly about the co-consultations with Multilateral Development Bank. And through these experiences, I reconfirmed that I am in love with public policies, and public policies as one of the most powerful tools to change like one country as a good governance. So I have firm belief. I confirmed the power of a public policy. So based on that, before like jump into another career, I usually would like to share my snapshots again. First picture is I went to the Kenya to conduct demand survey, and the other one is I went to the Nicaragua to do memorandum signing ceremony. It was quite memorable thing, and it was very tough on business trip mission as well. So the next, my second career experiences after Yonsei GSIS is I worked as a research officer at the OECD Korea Policy Center. Well, I mainly worked on developing OECD guidebook on competition law in Asia Pacific region. I worked with 22 countries and authorities. It was quite tough to manage 22 countries at once, but still it's very valuable because I could conduct comparative research and monitored any policy changes when it comes to competition policy and law. And then I conducted seminars to share the best practice / best public policies to build capacity for the government officers. Some snapshots. Me. And you can check out my publication at the OECD website. It was quite kind of like big achievement for me personally. And then like through the OECD experiences, I confirmed that I was so sure that public policy is the very powerful tool to bring up good changes. And my last working experiences before Unicef Korea is that I removed to the UN agency based, and I worked as a program specialist for Fundraising Trust at UNESCO Korea Commission. And mainly my job is that ensuring consistency between the funds in trust and project activities of UNESCO. And I also developed and managed a funds in trust system to maximize transparency of volunteer contribution and relevant UNESCO programs. And during conducting this task, I found out that I built a strong relations with 10 Ministry of South Korean government. It's a huge asset to understand the central government system and expand your network with high-level officers. Now it's really a valuable asset to me as well. And then also I planned and organized the roundtable and annual meeting with the Secretary of UNESCO and Korean government, like donor and the country office. And it's really always fun to have roundtable and discuss strengthen and weak point of the fund and the develop new projects. So through these experiences, I was reconfirmed the importance of health governance, and to run this governance and projects, you need some fund and good system. So this is pretty much about my experiences in UNESCO NECOM. And just want to share some snapshots from UNESCO. I also met the Director General of UNESCO, Ajulay, at Jeju Island. And this is the Asian Pacific regional meeting for the UNESCO, and we drew out the nice, very neat communique to how to cooperate with these more than 25 countries who push the UNESCO mission. So, wow, this is almost the end of my presentation. Well, before finishing my presentation, I would like to share one of my favorite quotation. Well, personally, it was not that easy to my career at the IDC field because the market itself is very, very narrow and very competitive. However, as long as you have a firm belief in yourself, and then just keep unlocking your potential, then there must be the way, I really believe. As the quotation says, like, don't let others' expectations or ideas tell who you are, but you need to decide who you are for yourself. So become a whole thing and just take your valuable adventure. Okay. Thank you for listening. So if you have any further question, just please feel free to cast me now, or if you a little feel shy to that, you can just email me. I'm always very happy to help you. Okay, thank you, Emily. Over to you.
Okay, Ye-Lin, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Right now, we'll be moving on to the Q&A session. So if you have a question, please use the raise your hand function, or you can also ask in the chat and I will moderate the Q&A session. Go ahead.
So before starting the Q&A session, Emily, I have a very quick question. I already received some direct question to me before the session. Do you want me to cover them now first, or just receive some prompt question, like spontaneous question from Yonsei now?
I think either way is fine, whatever you prefer.
Okay, let's wait for like 5 more seconds, and if anyone raises their hands, then you can just go into the question session that I prepared. I already received several questions from you the other days, so.
I have 3 questions. I don't know if it's all right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so could you?
Okay.
Diana, right? Your name, Diana? Okay, I'm very happy to have your question. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, the first would be what is the most fulfilling part of your job and also the most challenging? The second would be if in Unicef you deal with cooperation with other international partners, for example, work about Latin America or other parts of the world, or as it is, UNICEF Korea is more focused on the children in Korea to provide the data about children in Korea, mainly or only. And the third question would be if you work with other ONGs, Korean ONGs working with children, which would be those ONGs and how is your work with them? Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. So many questions. So for the most challenging part of my career, like you mean from beginning or like during conducting my career, you mean specifically?
During your current position in UNICEF Korea?
Oh, the huge challenge. Well, to answer this question, I have to explain the nature of the National Committee. Actually, for UNICEF, National Committee, you can only find National Committee in HICS, mean high-income countries, because other UNICEF country offices or regional offices, they are doing field project or field program to direct help or direct help children. But for National Committee, we are already situated in the high-income country. So mostly we do high-end advocacy activities with partnering governments. So the most challenging part of the current challenges at UNICEF Korea is that it's a little bit hard to move governments. Means specifically for me for Ministry of Health or we closely working with the National Assembly of South Korea because we have to change the policy ground as UNCRC implementation friendly one. So that is the kind of challenge for me because ministry, government, or National Assembly, they are changing very slowly. So we always prepare robust and concise data from Unicef, and we always make some policy notes and other reasons that why they should change. So we always pushing them to implement UNCRC, and also plus we make that kind of ground. So that is kind of a challenge for me for my current position. And you gave me a question about we only work for Korean children, you mean? But technically, well, based on our slogan, we work for every child. So UNICEF Korea is mainly divided into two parts. One is advocacy, public policy and advocacy, and the other part is for fundraising. For the fundraising, we fundraise for every child. Definitely, this fund just travel around all the world for the child in need. So technically, yes, this fund should go to Latin American countries as well. And from time to time, if the huge donor designated a specific project, for example, I want to use my fund for the Latin American children, then we cooperate with Latin American country offices or regional offices to find the matchable project and that fund. So technically, we do lots of activities for every child, but for advocacy and public policy, yes, we will almost only do for the Korean children because we are situated in South Korea. That's kind of our obligation. But plus, we do some exchange workshop with all over the world. So from time to time, we got ideas from Latin American countries as well. So this is how we are working on. Hope that this is enough answer for you. And your third question is that what type of NGOs, right? NGOs in South Korea for children specifically, or any type of NGOs you're looking for? Diana, could you clarify your question again?
Yes, specifically for children.
Oh, for children. There is a lot, but based on your nationality, I would like to recommend about Save the Children International, and they have a Korean station as well. But if you have or World Vision or Child Fund, etc., these are the main three huge NGO for children, and also they are based on international setting kind of. So that's pretty much. But there are so many small, tiny but variable NGOs for children. So hope that this answer will be enough for you, Diana.
I was wondering if in some way you work with these organizations or they're run apart.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying the question. Yes, we do. We do work with other NGOs for the children because, for example, every 5 years we have to publish UNCRC implementation report. So we have Korean government should submit one report, and also NGOs should submit UNCRC implementation report as well. So to compose this report, all NGOs for all NGOs of children, like working for children, gather one spot, and we discuss very actively and check whether this was implemented or not. And as UNICEF is the key organization to implement UNCRC, based on the 45 article of UNCRC, UNICEF is clearly mentioned on that. So we have the obligation, and we are playing a leading role role for that that activity. Would that be clear for you, Diana?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question.
Okay, next we have a question from Alejandra.
Well,
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I really enjoyed it and knowing more about how UNICEF worked. So I have a question for I think some students might be interested in which skills do you think they should develop for when wanting to work in UN related um, branches, for example, like UNICEF or other areas. And also, okay, maybe you can ask that questions. I don't know how many other people want to ask, so I don't want to take too much time.
you're fine. Actually, I already received this type of question, so I think you gave me a really good question. Okay, for my current position, I think my strength is policy analysis and monitoring evaluation skill after running the project. And of course, these are my personal strengths and to work at UNICEF Korea and other international organizations. And of course, language skills would be a huge plus. For me, I speak English and French. It's kind of working level and high intermediate level of Japanese. These are the kind of key assets to work for working and also make some good connections with international community. And for me, I don't know, it depends what kind of skills, like it depends on which level are you in. If you are kind of an entry level, maybe they are looking for more general thing. But if you have 5 or 10-year long experiences already, you must be some special, you must have specialty, they assume. So I met lots of people, staff members from UNICEF, they are specialized in like health, or sometimes they are specialized in fundraising, they are specialized in like water, like sanitation, etc. So it depends on what kind of goal or like target do you have. So like for me, my skill is policy analysis and monitoring and evaluation. So based on your skill, you will be assigned any department you need. So like I don't know, like during GSIS, I have huge concern what kind of skill should I have to polish, but I choose to polish my skill as policy analysis. So I think it worked. So it all depends on you. So please design and clarify your blueprint very well and keep up the good work for that. That's kind of only my tiny tip for you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a question from Mariana.
Mariana, okay.
Yes, hi, thank you for joining us and giving us like a amazing presentation. It's kind of similar question. I was wondering about your previous preparation or experience that you had to join, for example, the G20 Youth Summit. Like, what did you had to do, or how did you find these kind of opportunities? Because it's like highly competitive. I'm guessing, right? So I was wondering, how did you get like the experiences that you had during your time in GSIS? Like how we can prepare us to get this experiences too.
Okay, thank you for the question. Well, like personally, I was very polite person, I think. I always like did a research on research to find a job, and plus I always try to highly engage with government affairs. So I am closely, I don't know, I found this information through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You know, it's kind of cliche, but they always send you newsletters or they always post some important news on their website. So it's kind of reading a newspaper, like finding some variable things through these key website or information resource. So for example, when it comes to G20 Youth Summit, I found that through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. And as you mentioned, it was very high competitive. So because government carefully select the official delegation, it took like more than 3 months to get through the whole process to be selected. And may I ask your nationality, if you don't mind?
I'm from Mexico.
Okay. Mexico, like I met a Mexican delegation at the Sydney, but they have a little bit different procedure. So every single government has a different procedure to select the delegation. So some, for example, New Zealand, they selected the government officers. So they don't have so the government officers. So you should be a government officer to be selected as New Zealand delegation. But Korea, Japan, or other countries, Ministry of Foreign Affairs conduct this procedure. So you have to check, depends on nationality, and you should be under the age of 34. That's the key thing, of course. And this next year, the G20 summit is supposed to take place in Italy, but because of COVID-19, it was canceled. Still, like G20 Youth Summit connection is still alive, and I always get good help from them as well. So if you have any opportunity to participate in this kind of activity or thing, I highly recommend it. It's really a valuable life asset, I think. So keep up the good work. Good luck. And Emily, over to you.
If there are no other questions at the moment, we can use the questions that were sent ahead of time.
So I think I have one. So I already received 6 questions. But Emily, I only have 1 minute, right?
Yes. So everything's been delayed 5 minutes. You have until 7:15.
Okay, 7:15. Good. Okay, then, Yonsei, please select any questions I should go first. Number 1 to 6, you choose. Oh, there's vote. Should I go through from first to end, or
Maybe question 4.
question, or it's question 4? Yep. It's really brutal. Like getting job in UN or UN relevant agency is tough. Maybe you guys are easier than me, but for me it was a little bit tough because well, for example, well, when as I mentioned above, I did my internship at Unicef Tokyo, which is the New York headquarters, and it's like, based on my experiences, it's really hard to find staff member who has just entry level skills. They're all basically, they have more than 15 or 10-year long experiences, and some of them are from Ministry of Foreign Affairs from some countries, or some people worked at the National Assembly, etc. So they are already very professional level. So it's a little bit hard to find a room for the very entry level people like past me, and maybe for you as well. But so my recommendation is like get some real skills and get some real experiences related on your target or international development cooperation field. That is the key thing. I know it's not very helpful, but it's the thing, because just right after graduation, I went to procedure, like a recruitment procedure for the UNDP country offices. I became a very shortlist candidate, after spending 6 months to passing after passing like lots of tests and interviews, but I failed to get in the position because I did not have enough experience compared to other other candidates. So I think you should picture you should polish your own skill in specific sector and then get some experiences and then keep trying applying to applying UN agencies or other international organizations, and then one day you will be there. This is a very vague and ambiguous saying, but sometimes I think one day it will work out. Yep, that's it. And we have
Maybe,
only, yes.
Oh, can I maybe just add to the last part? As you are now official in the UN, what do you feel is the most fulfilling part of your current job?
The most fulfilling part of my current job, right, Diana? Well, it's kind of, you're asking about what kind of you mean you mean the achievement through my job, and then how
For example, when you mentioned then that you discovered the power of the policy making.
Well, for example, well, okay, since I am in charge of child-friendly city initiative, well, we train or provide policy consultation and providing platform for the local government. And for example, there is one local government, their children's end indicator was not that much desirable, but after meeting Unicef Child Friendly City platform, their the staff member of local government has been changed. Their attitude toward children and their understanding through the child policy has been totally changed. And then like the city itself was experiencing the huge changes for children. Their happiness level has been elevated, and then the city itself become a better place for the children. And I think even though like this kind of changes, policy-based changes takes lots of time, but I have firm belief that it will make a huge change and positive impact at the end. And also simply you can check out the annual report from Unicef. And if you read 5-year-long Unicef annual report, you can definitely see how the world is changing to a better place, even though it's very slow, but I firmly believe that it's changing in right directions. So that's how I feel very happy when I'm working as a kind of part of the Unicef. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
So Emily's turning back. So if we if you don't have any other questions or any question you want to go through with me.
I think it's time for the end of the session. So thank you everyone for participating, and thank you Ye-Lin so much for your presentation.
Thank you our time, and thank you for having me.